The ground invasion has not taken effect yet. And I think as more countries get pulled into that mess, I think you're going to see the metals soar. Historically, the metals love chaos. It's kind of a safe haven when people are afraid of what might be. There's a lot of trouble over there, I think, is going to draw the metals upward.
So if there's big things that happen with the war in Israel escalating, you do think metals will respond?
I do.
Buy your gold and silver online from SD Bullion. New customers get gold or silver at spot by visiting sdbullion.com/new.
Good morning.
Morning.
How's it going? Richard, good to see you. Harry,
Good to see you.
Adrian, what's up? Good to be here. And looks like metals are down just a hair today, basically flat. We got silver right around 23 bucks an ounce, gold right around 2,000. What do you think about that, Harry?
I think it's fluctuating. People always ask, what is gold going to do? I say it's going to fluctuate.
It's going to fluctuate. That's the truth. We do have a little bit of gold in the case here. Some gold bars. Those look nice. A couple kangaroos.
Yep.
Those are from the Perth Mint, yeah?
Yes, they do beautiful work.
And let's see. We got silver coins. You got a bunch of stuff in the case. Great selection. Pretty much everything. And we got eagles back in the case. We got silver rounds. We take a look at the prices here. See, 26 bucks an ounce for rounds and bars, and eagles only $3 more. Can you believe that?
Yeah, the premiums have really narrowed so much. I mean, if you look at Maples and Krugerrands, the silver versions, I mean, are only $1 less than eagles. Or I should say that the eagles are only $1 more.
Yeah,
so that they're pretty much on par now.
Almost seems like an anomaly, like they're just flooding the market with eagles.
Yeah, I think the U.S. Mint has caught up with the back orders and the demand, and it's just kind of normalized. I mean, I've seen times where, at least in the gold, Maples were more than gold eagles. So, you know, sometimes the world gold or the world silver can surpass the U.S. versions, especially in gold.
Yeah, I wonder if that will happen here in the next few months. Who knows?
Who knows?
Yeah. Over here we got the junk silver. Looks like a 19X face and still no mercury dimes.
Yes, they evaporate. You know, they land and just...
People just buy them as soon as they get in stock, huh?
Exactly. We get them in the tray and it's... Somebody comes in.
They want all of them.
It's almost like we did a video on mercury dimes.
Just about like that.
So you got $half, nice selection. You got lots of silver quarters. Yeah, people want to buy precious metals. Seems like there's not really a shortage at all right now.
You know, we've been doing a lot of buying. In fact, I would say in the last couple of weeks, more buying than selling. You know, there's always a give and take in that ratio, but I think with prices, with the exception of today, kind of inching up, people have found an opportunity to maybe unload that they've been waiting for.
You know, gold is almost back to 2,000 bucks an ounce.
Yes.
So I guess if you needed to sell, now is not the worst time.
It's not the worst at all. Silver is not a great time. On the other hand, if you need the money, sometimes that doesn't matter.
Seems like metals kind of shot up once the war over in Israel started. I mean, is that kind of what you saw?
There was a spike initially. Right now, it's not behaving that way, but the ground invasion has not taken effect yet. And I think as more countries get pulled into that mess, I think you're going to see the metals soar. Historically, the metals love chaos. It's kind of a safe haven when people are afraid of what might be, whatever that means, what the future holds, and there's a lot of trouble over there, I think, is going to draw the metals upward.
Do you think lots of other countries are going to get sucked in? This is going to become a bigger thing?
Well, sucked in is probably not the right word, because I think in the Arab world, they're going to jump in enthusiastically.
Yeah.
In terms of being sucked in, probably the U.S. is going to be there as a friend of Israel, and therefore we as Americans become targets over there, and we will have to respond to that.
Yeah, it certainly could get a little out of hand. You know, when we saw Russia invade Ukraine last year, we saw a big spike in the metals initially, and then they leveled off. And it seemed like, well, the war is still going over there, right? I mean,
But it's not front page news anymore. I think we're on a 24-hour news cycle now where if it's not talked about, it's forgotten. It's not forgotten over in Ukraine, but it's forgotten here because it's not the top news story anymore.
so if there's big things that happen with the war in Israel escalating, you do think metals will respond?
I do, and I think it'll be people fleeing to a safe haven, not trusting, paper assets, wanting something more secure in times of uncertainty.
Have you seen that, Adrian, with like geopolitical events, people just rushing in, line out the door, buying metals?
Yes, yeah. It's usually people go to the safe haven assets, like Harry was saying. They don't want to get away from the system, get it out of the paper stocks and assets, and get into something real, silver, gold, and property as well.
What are other things that kind of drive the metals up? Richard, you've been doing this a long time as well. When do people usually come in and start buying? What do you think?
I would say when the economy tends to be making big improvements or big drops. So if the economy's doing bad, people go, okay, they worry, they come in and they buy. But then if it's doing well, how long's the good gonna last? I got all this money to invest in. Maybe I'll put some of it in metals.
So kind of big changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to that point of Richard's, if I may interject, during the COVID when a lot of Americans were getting government checks,
Yeah.
we saw a real spike in business here because people were laughing like, hey, I got this free money, I'm going to buy some gold or I'm going to buy some silver. It wasn't going to groceries, at least from my narrow view of the world. It was going for gold and silver.
Well, I know I was certainly stacking more metals during COVID. It was like, yeah, if you want to throw a stimmy check my way, well, I'm going to put it into real money immediately.
Exactly.
Yeah, why waste it,
Right.
And then you can save it. And honestly, since COVID, though, the metals have gone up a bit. I mean, silver was, $16, $15 an ounce?
It dropped to below 13 for a day during COVID.
Yeah, and now it's up $10.
Yeah.
So, I mean, those that did put their money into precious metals, I think they're enjoying the return.
For sure. And if you think about those low prices during COVID, when it really was at about $13, $14, the problem then was you couldn't find any.
Right.
We were out, all the dealers were out, and all the mints were back ordered.
Do you think we're going to get that again? I mean, if maybe the war escalates, do you think lots of people will come into the shop and buy you guys out at some point?
I do, and I think it'll be one of those times where normally people that don't stack here on the lay news, meaning non-coin newspapers or television, they say, whoa, what's with the gold and silver? Maybe we should get some.
Yeah.
And we actually do a lot of educating here when that happens, because people come in and say, I want to buy gold and silver, but I've never done this. And it's usually at times like when there's trouble in the world that we start meeting people like that.
Well, one thing that I think is crazy is we look at the prices now and we say, okay, it has gone up quite a bit since COVID, but it's totally possible we could be looking at these prices in the next 3, 4, 5 years and saying, wow, I wish I had bought when silver was 23, because now it's some crazy number.
Well, that's what I get a lot of phone calls where people are checking on prices, and then they'll say to me, well, I'll come in when silver's, a little lower. And I'll say, today's price may look like a bargain next week.
Yeah.
I don't know. This could be the lowest it'll ever be.
Yeah, we simply don't know.
I don't know.
What do you think, Adrian? If someone was new to stacking right now and they were kind of worried about the fluctuations, what would you say is a good strategy? I mean, dollar cost average, what do you think?
Yeah, dollar cost average is always a good thing, because you always tend to, if you're buying consistently, you're gonna cost average your purchases. You don't want to be buying at the top of the market or at the low of the market. It's always buy a little bit and put it away. That's the way I look at it for stacking.
Yeah, that's what most of us stackers do. I mean, That's what I've been doing for the last 5-6 years. Just buy a little bit when you can.
Get on a program where you're consistently buying at a certain pace, and you kind of smooth out the peaks and valleys by just, if it's every Wednesday you spend $100, then so be it.
Yeah.
And the price will average out for you over time.
Honestly, I'm so worried about how things are going to go. I feel like however much you're putting into your 401k, maybe you put that much into metals, honestly, is my view. I love gold. I love silver. Maybe that's a little heavy for some people. I think it's prudent, honestly.
I think too, if you're going to have a portfolio that's heavy in metals, meaning, not stocks, but hard assets like this, you really have to invest in the kind of security that makes your assets safe.
Yeah.
Meaning someone can't just come to your home and take it. Because that's the upside to, say, a stock portfolio where there's nothing to take. It exists in the ether on a computer screen. But these exist in 3 dimensions, in your home, in your safe, under your bed, wherever you hide them. And if this is going to be where you put your wealth, which is perfectly reasonable, you absolutely have to make sure it's protected.
I agree.
I love what Harry's saying. With me, something, even when I was a kid, I always thought, it's like, you know what, silver and gold, this is money anywhere I go.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just money here in the U.S., it's money in Canada and Mexico, everywhere, anywhere in the world, it's money. And it can be used in trade for things, for currency if you needed to. And like Harry was saying, it's just, I like it because it kind of removes you from being dependent on a system.
Yeah, it puts the power back in your
hands.
yeah.
Exactly.
What do you think, Richard?
To add on to what Adrian and Harry said too about the security aspect of it, don't tell anybody you have it. I mean anybody. You may think, oh, I could tell my kids. No, get a lawyer, have a will written up. Then in that event that they do need to have it because you're gone, they'll be informed about it. The fewer people know about it, the better. Because loose lips sink ships. I don't know how many times we've had people in here where a family member took it, or they just had a safe that wasn't bolted down, and people, spread the word, and somebody went to their house and just carried the safe out.
It's really the only way to lose your wealth when it comes to precious metals is you actually lose it, like you drop it through the floorboards and can't find it, or someone steals it. I mean, that's the only way.
It's not transactional because the market didn't go your way. It's because literally someone walked off with it.
Even if your house burns down, probably a lot of your metals you could recover. I mean, you could take it down to the refiner and here's my blob of silver.
Yeah.
It's still there.
We've bought silver that's been through fires for sure. It's not as pretty anymore, but it still exists.
Well, if you had $100 bills, those are going to be toast.
They're gone.
Exactly. So it's still worth something.
Yeah. Well, I think we hit a lot of really good topics today. Hopefully, if there's some new stackers out there that are thinking about getting into precious metals, this kind of gives them some more information on maybe buying and stuff like that.
Hope so.
Yeah, and there's always people that have questions. Feel free to give us a call. We can answer any questions or help you with any decisions you want to make with precious metals.
There you go. All right. Well, appreciate the time, Harry.
Thank you, Silver Dragons.
Thank you so much, Adrian. Richard, take care.